Welcome to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour with your hosts, the ConKaiserdor and Old School Avis Hathaway. Pin me, pay me, do your job. Pin me, pay me, do your job. Pin me, pay me, do your job. Pin me, pay me,
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour here on Blog Talk Radio. I am the ConKaiserdor, and alongside me is Old School Avis Hathaway. We have another tremendous show for you this evening. As like last week with Dab Savage, we have a returning guest back here on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. We want to welcome to the show a little bit later on. We'll have Craig Classic back on the show, so you don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great night of wrestling banter. As always, we always bring you the best here Sunday nights on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. But a lot going on in the world of wrestling, especially WWE as well as TNA. And then, like I said in a little bit, we'll be live here with Craig Classic, so it's going to be a great show. Old School Avis Hathaway, Bud, what's going on tonight?
Oh, how's it going? You know, another Sunday. Had a nice day out in the Everglades on an airboat. I'm a little exhausted from the heat, but doing pretty well. Yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, guy. Did you run into Skinner at all while you were out there?
No, I did not. You know what's actually funny, though, I should bring up to you? Not the captain of our airboat, but the captain of the airboat in front of us was a dead ringer for Officer Farva, Kevin Heffernan. He looked just like Farva with the mustache. He literally, like, I wish I could have gotten a picture. My wife and I were cracking up because I just want to go up to him and be like, leader is French, or give me some fucking cola. And he looked just like
Nice. Well, it's unfortunate that, you didn't see Skinner out there, but hey, Farva, I guess, that's not that's not bad either. So a lot going on, Bud, in the world of wrestling, man. WWE, some major title changes. So you want to go ahead and kick us off with some of the news, man?
Yeah, as everybody I'm sure is aware by now, last week we had our Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which we touched on last week's show. And WWE did pull the trigger and switch the belt to CM Punk, which, some people thought would happen. But, Del Rio came running down to cash in his Money in the Bank only to get kicked for his troubles. CM Punk left the arena, the WWE champion, and left the company, quote-unquote, the WWE champion. So this makes for some very interesting storylines that led into Monday night when we had a tournament to crown the new WWE champion, which, interesting sidebar, I'd like to say, I found the Raw to be a complete letdown after that pay-per-view. I thought there was a lot more they could have done with it. There were some very good matches, but I thought storyline-wise it kind of was a little bit of a letdown. But that is right up until the end when Vince McMahon was storyline removed from his duties and Triple H will be taking over the company, which I think could be very interesting.
Yeah, Vince McMahon got the "you're fired," and Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis was kind of on camera there, sporting a black eye to kind of sell his beatdown that he got. So I guess they're giving him an on camera role, it seems now.
Yeah, well, what I had read was with Johnny Ace from the pay-per-view was that the only reason he came down with Vince is they wanted Cena to initially give Vince the bump, but the doctors did not want Vince taking any more bumps. So they kind of put Johnny Ace out there so he could take the bump for Vince. That's what I had read, at least. Right.
He's now, kind of like the new stooge.
He is. He's the Gerald Briscoe or Pat Patterson.
Gerald Briscoe. Right. So Triple H now kind of running things there. So where does that leave the new GM? Well, not the new GM, but the GM of Raw. I mean, what are they doing with that? Is that pretty much dead in the water now, or what?
God, I hope so. That angle, it started off hot, and there was a lot that could have been done. And if you remember back when they started, there was a lot of teasers they'd give you. The general manager would end it with, "That's the bottom line," or "If you don't like it, I got 2 words for you." So people would say, oh, is it Triple H? Is it, Stone Cold, Vince, Shawn Michaels? And then the theory spiraled and spiraled. Maybe it's just Michael Cole. It's Vince McMahon. I've heard Mick Foley. At this point, it's just so over. It's and not in a good way over. I mean, it's just like it's done. It's done. Nobody cares anymore. It's just an annoyance. And there's really nobody. There's really nobody you could bring out at this point that anybody'd really care.
Well, there was talk at one point that it could have been Abraham Washington.
I would like that if instead of the little chime, the little iPhone doo-doo-doo, instead of that, you'd get Teddy Atlas's laugh to indicate there's an email.
You call Teddy Atlas or Tony Atlas?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking boxing. What did I say, Teddy Atlas?
You called him Teddy Atlas.
Teddy Atlas, for anybody who doesn't know, is a boxing trainer. My mistake, guy. Anyway.
Sorry, guy.
If you get that's great.
Switching over to SmackDown, Christian got the big win over Randy Orton. So that's kind of cool because Christian kind of had the belt taken off him rather quickly. A lot of people were pissed off about that. Now Christian's got the belt, which is always more entertaining when there's a face chasing the heel for the title.
Generally, I agree with you. They still wouldn't let Randy Orton quite get the belt clean. It was via DQ, but the belt changed via DQ based on the stipulation, which I'm fine with. I'd rather have Christian have the belt. I actually watched SmackDown on Friday. I rarely ever watch SmackDown, but I like Christian as a champion. I think Randy Orton chasing him is a lot better. I don't think Randy Orton needs the belt, nor do I really think he should have the belt. And I've talked about this ad nauseum. I don't understand why Randy Orton's a face. To me, it doesn't work as a face. A face doesn't go around attacking people, snapping, throwing monitors at them, punching them in the head, trying to put them out on the shelf with injury. It's not a face move. So I don't know.
Well, hold on a second, though. I mean, I don't know if I agree with you because, I mean, if you think about when Austin was getting his big push, I mean, Austin he was kind of that guy. Yeah, he wasn't punting people. He was stunning everybody, though. But he kind of played the same role, the bad guy, and people just cheered him.
Here's the difference, though. Here's two differences. One, it was a little bit different of an era. They were going for that anti-hero thing, which I understand they're trying to do with Randy Orton. But there's also trying to market to kids. And that's the big difference to me. When you're trying to make it a PG-rated product and you're marketing to kids, but one of your top faces' signature move is punting a guy in the head trying to cause a concussion, which in sports today, wrestling included, is a huge hot-button issue because of the brain damage effects. So I know he's not really punting him in the head and he's not really giving him a concussion, but even to fake it, to get the appearance of I'm going to kick you in the head and give you a concussion and put you on the shelf for months, that's not a hero kind of thing. I understand they're going for the anti-hero vibe with him and trying to appeal to some of the older guys, the older audience members, but you really can't have your cake and eat it too. You're either a PG-rated product or you're not. And to me, it's even when Austin was stunning people and spraying beer at people and, driving the four-wheeler, et cetera, he wasn't blatantly trying to hurt people.
Jeez, guy, you're really passionate about that. I mean, you're acting as if there's no gray. It's all black and white. I don't know if I agree with that. I think there's some gray, and I mean, obviously it's not real. It's not a move that's really hurting people. It's not like a pile driver or something like that. I mean, it's what he does, and it's part of his character. I don't see why you're hating it so much. I mean, that's just kind of what he does.
Of course, there's gray. To me, I know it's all storyline and I know it's all fake, but I like to have some semblance of reality in my entertainment, even though I know it's fake, But if you're going around and your sole purpose is to kick a guy in the head, it was like when Randy Orton was feuding with CM Punk, and Punk was working heel, Orton was working face. But it was backwards, because the whole reason Punk was chasing after Orton was because he kicked him in the head and cost him the World Heavyweight Championship. He kicked him in the head for no reason, to put him out with a concussion. Now, that's something a bad guy would do, a heel. Yeah, he's the face, and the guy who wants revenge for getting his belt taken away from him because he got a concussion through no fault of his own because of somebody else's dubious actions, he's the bad guy. It just doesn't make sense. And I understand it's a storyline. I understand it's fake, but it doesn't add up. There's no reality to it.
I would say nothing at this point, guy. I guess we'll have to agree to disagree, but we can move on to something else. We talk about the fact that the Money in the Bank winner, Daniel Bryan, is going to be wrestling the main event at WrestleMania in Miami next year, guys. That's a pretty big announcement.
I'll believe it when I see it. Here's the thing. I understand, again, Daniel Bryan coming out and saying, I'm not going to be like everybody else and take advantage of a down champion and win the belt the cheap way. But all that basically, that whole speech, what he just said was, I am going to be the first guy to not win the belt after Money in the Bank. It's exactly what he said, if you read between the lines. Because there's no way they're going to put the WWE title on him. And there's a lot of time now that he could get into a match with whoever, just The Miz or R-Truth or whoever, John Morrison, and get into a heated, all right, well, I'll tell you what, you put your Money on the Bank win on the line and I'll wrestle you. And he wrestles him and he loses his shot. I mean, there's just a lot that could happen.
Well, certainly you're right, guy. I mean, there's no disputing that. But you know what? Here we are. We're talking about this. We got Craig Classic, who's going to be on the show in just a little bit here. So don't go anywhere. We're taking just a quick break, but we'll be back with the real junior heavyweight champion, one of the best wrestlers today on the indie scene, Craig Classic. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour on Blog Talk Radio. Let's welcome back to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour, Craig Classic. What's going on there tonight, Craig?
Nothing much. How are you?
Doing good. Great to have you back on the show, man. Certainly, it's been a little while, and I'm sure we got some great stuff to talk to. A lot's been going on with you, with the NWA, with just getting some other matches set up here. So certainly, it's awesome to have you back on the show. I know you wrestled last night for live pro wrestling. You beat Tommy Vandal in a pretty good match. I did catch it on YouTube, so I'm glad that someone took some video of that last night. So great match, man.
Thank you. That's what I do. I try to go out there and entertain the fans and give them the best quality matches possible. That's my job. So.
Well, we're glad you did your job because it was definitely an awesome match. So really good stuff there. So it looked like the live pro wrestling is really getting a lot more attention. A lot of people are kind of attending their shows. That seemed to be one of the more crowd attended shows last night.
I mean, they had a nice sized crowd there. It's good to see people going out to see independent wrestling, and Live reached out to me and they asked if I would come and work one of their shows, and I said sure, why not? It's a local show for me, and to help out some of the younger guys. I've a ton of international experience wrestling in Japan and wherever, and these are guys just breaking in, and these are guys, who ask me all the time, hey, how can I get to Japan? How could I go do this? How could I go do that? And, for them to, want me to be a part of their show, it was humbling.
Yeah, man. Well, definitely a good show. I mean, I couldn't see all the matches because all of them weren't posted, but certainly the Tommy Vandal one was posted with you. So really cool to watch that on YouTube. And I know you've got something coming up for IWL in Mexico, wrestling with Super Crazy. How did that come about?
It just like a bunch of other things, it just landed on my lap. I got contacted and they asked, hey, how would you like to come to Mexico? And I said, I was kind of hesitant at first, all the craziness it's going on down there, and that you hear about in the news and everything. But they said, we want you to come to Mexico. We had people there who took pictures of your match in Japan. we did a profile on you in Super Luchas, and then the magazine that's out now, they had me front page, the front of the magazine, and everything, and a full page on me. And they said, hey, how would you like to come and wrestle Super Crazy? And I said, okay, so I'm sold. I would love to. And that's pretty much how it came about.
Very cool. Well, let me ask you another quick question about that, because obviously Super Crazy has a lot of experience. He's wrestled, for ECW and WWE and stuff there. And have you ever worked someone like his style, before, or is this the first time wrestling someone who wrestles, the Super Crazy way?
I've wrestled so many different guys in Japan. To even compare them to Super Crazy, who's pretty much adapted to every style imaginable. He's been at the top of the level here, Mexico and even Japan. So he can bring all kinds of different styles. I guess you can compare him to Quackenbush in a way. Not as crazy though, but for someone to match. Quack can do a million wrestling holds and lucha libre. And Crazy can do, just about everything in the ring. So, it's a test for me, Every match is a test, It doesn't matter who I wrestle, who I face, it's a test. And, that's something I couldn't pass up, They said, how would you like to work with Crazy? I'm like, sure, let's do it, He's someone that I admired growing up. I would attend ECW shows in Queens, New York, and see guys like Masato Tanaka, guys who I idolize, and Crazy is definitely someone that I did idolize, and just to be able to step in the ring with him is an honor.
Very cool, very cool. Now, Craig, I wanted to ask you, kind of shifting gears a little bit. I know that there's been obviously you well, for lack of a better word, you lost the NWA Junior Heavyweight title. Not without some controversy. I wondered if maybe you could kind of get into that and give the folks a little bit of a backstory as to what happened there.
Well, I didn't technically lose the belt.
That's like the quote, lost,
Yeah. Well, what happened was they stripped our world champion, the Sheik, of his title for reasons that I do not agree with. He could not make a date, or wasn't booked for a date. Whichever it is. He couldn't. Nonetheless, he couldn't make a date, and he was going to be scheduled on a tour of 01. And they stripped him of the title because of that. And I can't agree with the board of directors, as you call them in the NWA, that would agree to strip someone of a title who is going and getting the title exposure, something that everyone needs in this business is exposure. Our belts need exposure, and that's something that they didn't agree with, and pretty much stripped him of the belt and took money out of his pocket. That's a tour of Japan, and I can't agree with that. Why would why would someone want to, take something like that away, when someone else is going to get your company, your title exposure in another country? The belt wasn't there in 9 years. He brought the belt there. Before him, I was the first champion in years to bring the belt to Japan. It's amazing, when you think about it. This business is about exposure. When I went to Japan, when I brought the World Junior belt to Japan, the people at Samurai TV didn't even know who the current champions were. So if that shows you the direction that the NWA was going in, that if a Samurai TV, it's their job to know professional wrestling, that they don't even know who your champions are or your past champions, or the person that I beat for my belt, there's a problem. So, we were getting the name out there, and that was, that was a big deal. The exposure that we were bringing there, people in Japan started to realize what the NWA is and still is. The belts do mean something there. And for them to strip the title off of someone that was getting the belt exposure over there after it hasn't been there in years and pretty much taking money out of his pocket by doing that is pretty much, it's bullshit. And I'm not going to sit and agree with that. We're in this business to make money. As wrestlers, that's what we should be doing, and no one should tell us, hey, you can't do this because we need you here. That's bullshit. And there's a lot of people that probably don't agree with me, and probably do agree with me. I'm sure if the shoe was on the other foot, they would definitely be agreeing with me. But this bullshit, it's just bullshit, and this business is filled with people that don't understand good business. And by doing that, what they did, by stripping the title off the Sheik and pretty much it painted a black eye on the NWA. And really, it's not something that I agree with. I wasn't brought up that way. I have morals, and I can't agree with someone trying to take money out of someone else's pocket. A tour of Japan is it's a big deal, and it's a big deal for the belt. It was a big deal for the NWA, and it hurt. It hurt pretty much all the world champions, because there was rumblings of a huge super show with all the world champions that was going to be booked in Japan, and pretty much because of all this, it pretty much got scrapped. So it's a lot of controversy, and it's a lot of bullshit. And like I said, if the shoe was on the other foot, I'm sure the powers that be would be agreeing.
Yeah, it seems like obviously there's, as a lot of people know, the wrestling business, there's a lot of politics involved. What was the NWA, the board of directors, or however you'd like to call them, what was their reaction with you voicing your displeasure about the situation?
I'm sure they're not too happy. They begged me to come back, but I'm not. I'm standing my ground, and I'm standing what I believe in. I'm a professional. I respect this business. And to strip someone for absolutely zero reason is absolutely bullshit. Because he can't make a date. The past champions, there's been several times where the past champions couldn't make a date, and they weren't stripped of their belts. So, you could, like I said, if the shoe was on the other foot, and there's so much to it that it's just unbelievable, and they're set in their ways, and if that's how they want to be, sure, let them be like that. There's a reason why they're not getting opportunities like an ROH or other independents that are moving far and above them. Where you had guys like me, Sheik, Dark City, credible guys, I guess you can say, and we're bringing the belts to Japan. We're bringing it to Puerto Rico. Sheik was scheduled to bring it to Australia and several other tours of Japan. So, we were getting the belts exposure. That's the name of the game. And, like I said, it's embarrassing to go and see people in Japan and who work for Samurai TV, and they don't even know who your current champions are. It's pretty embarrassing. So when you're you're going there to represent you're representing a company, and you're going there and they don't even know who your champions are. They just know, yeah, you're one of them, but who are the other ones? It's not a good it's not good. And if that's how they want to to be, if that's how they want to be exposed over there, then so be it. And I could care less, because I'm going to do my thing and continue doing my thing, and nothing's going to get in my way.
Now, the follow-up I would have to that is, does this mean your relationship with the NWA is completely severed? Are you no longer going to work with the NWA, or is this a hiatus, or are you kind of still mulling it over, or have you kind of decided where this leaves you with the NWA?
You know, you never say never in professional wrestling, but as of right now, I will not represent the NWA.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and I know you've got some upcoming bookings, though, for NWA, so are all those bookings off the table at this point?
I've had several that got canceled on me because of what I did. So, you know, take that for what it is. You know, I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. You know, it's fine with me. I get to sit home and spend time with my wife. You know what I mean? Whether it's punishment or whatever the reasons are, or, you know, I could care less. You know, I did cancel off of an NWA Anarchy show. I had a Chattanooga show that was canceled off on me because it wasn't the scheduled match they were advertising. You know, just you know, BS like that. You know, and I'm not hating on people. You know, if that's how they want to handle their business, sure, that's fine. You know, I don't care. You know, like I said, I didn't get into professional wrestling for politics. I came in to give the best matches possible. You know, I trained to be a wrestler. You know, I went to wrestling school to train to be a wrestler, not to play politics. You know, if I wanted to play politics, I'd be a politician somewhere. You know, this is the wrestling business, and we should do what we're supposed to do, and that's wrestle.
Sure. Now has the Sheik reached out to you? Have you guys spoken about the situation, and you know what was kind of his reaction to you? You kind of walking away out of solidarity with him.
Honestly, me and Sheik, we have like a love-hate relationship. We really do. When he first started his company, you know, I wasn't even on his roster. I wasn't even a thought to be on his roster. You know, I showed up to one of his shows and I got on, and from there I worked my way up the card. You know, and we've always had a love-hate relationship. You know, but he thanked me after, you know, he saw what I did. You know, and I would have done that for anyone. You know, this is a business, and we should be treating it like a business. You know, it could have been anyone in Sheik's situation, and I would have done the same exact thing. You know, and that's what I don't think the NWA realizes. You know, I don't think they realize that. It could have been anybody. I would have done the same thing. And, you know, the Sheik thanked me, and, you know, it's out of loyalty. It's out of respect for the business. You know, you got to do what you got to do. And, you know, I can't agree with what they did, and you know, I think it's a bullshit. Really, it's bullshit, you know. And I've had several people email me, reach out to me, you know, people, you know, within the NWA, wrestlers in the NWA. You know, I'm not going to mention names, you know, because these are people that are doing their thing, you know. Let them do their thing. But I've had people reach out to me saying what I did was real stand up. You know, people even above the NWA, you know what I mean, and you know, wrestlers from all around the world. So, you know, it's you know, people have backed me up and supported me for what I did. So.
Very, very interesting. We have so much more to get to, and we're going to get right back to this topic. We're going to take just a little quick break here because we are 30 minutes past the hour. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right here on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour with Craig Classic.
This is Tommy Vandal. You're listening to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour, the only wrestling show the TV unit listens to.
Welcome back to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour on Blog Talk Radio. You're live tonight with us, the ConKaiserdor here, old school Avis Hathaway, and we're joined by our special guest, Craig Classic. If you're listening live to the show and you want to call in, feel free to do so at 714-694-4101. You can also jump into the chat room. We'll answer any questions you may have if you do want to be a part of the show. Craig, kind of getting back to this whole NWA thing going on now. Now, I know you know, the NWA has been around for a long time. I mean, it has a long lineage of great champions and such. But over the years, it seems like the NWA has kind of gotten a little watered down. They're just not. When TNA at one point was using their belt, they were kind of back on TV. I mean, it kind of seems like the NWA title may not be as it just may not be as a prestigious belt as it once was. What is your thoughts about the NWA status, and how do you think their belt relates to maybe like a world title for like Ring of Honor or something like that? You know, another big indie promotion.
Wrestling's a business, and you know, you can't just run if you're going to run a mom and pop shop wrestling company and just run a local your local city that you live in, that's fine. But you know, the NWA is supposed to be an alliance of organizations around the world. You know, with your belts getting exposure everywhere. You know, you're supposed to, you know, you'd want your belt to get exposed as much as possible, whether via internet or international TV, local TV, cable TV. I mean, wherever you can get the belt, you know, showcased, you know, or get the name showcased, you know, it's about advertising. You know, how could you take example WWE. You know, WWE is everywhere. You know what I mean? You go to a 7-Eleven, there's WWE cups. There's, you know what I mean? They're all over the place. Now, obviously, the NWA doesn't have, you know, is not at that level, you know, but, you know, to get local TVs or local news stations or whoever, local newspapers or whatever you have to do to get the name spread, you know, and as far as the champions, you know, to get the international tours, to take the belts to Europe, to the UK, to Mexico, to Japan, get on the TVs, you know, get in the magazines over there. You know, that's exposure. It's getting your the wrestlers' names out. You know, it's getting the belts back in the spotlight that it needs to be in, and you know, most importantly, it's getting the organization out there. You know, you got to sell your product. You know, and the world champions that's our job. You know, that's our job. Our job is to sell to people on what the NWA is. And you know, I mean, you know, I can't speak for past champions or past dealings with the NWA. You know, but I mean, you know, whether, you know, TNA, yeah, it got them back in the national spotlight. You know, but I mean, you know, it's about getting the belts out there. It's about, you know, the touring. It's about doing what you got to do to, you know, to showcase, you know, yourself, the belts, the name, the product to everyone imaginable. You know, I mean, whether you're you know, I mean, it's tough sometimes wrestling in front of, you know, going to a show and wrestling in front of 9 people or 100 people or 200 people. You know, in local indies or indies around the country here. But I mean, you know, you got to do what you got to do. You know, it's sacrificing, but it's about getting the brand out there. You know, you got to look at this as a business, and you know, I guess, you know, the people running things, you know, whether they, you know, look at it the same light as I do, as far as, you know, making money. Who knows? You know.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I was reading on the internet. Because it seems like, you know, of course, it is a business. People want to make money. I can't remember the guy's name. It's slipping my mind, but I think it was a promoter in Florida. I don't know if you read about this, but he was advertising guys, a lot of big names on his show. I think Honky Tonk Man was one, and there were some other guys. He was advertising to bring on his show, and none of these guys were actually really booked.
Yeah.
I mean, that, I don't know if you heard about that, but I mean, that's the quickest way to get people to say, you know, fuck you, you know, I'm not going to give you shit. I'm not going to come to your shows, and that may also cause, you know, in other types of shows where they're being advertising certain guys, or people feel like, you know, are these guys really even booked for the show?
Yeah, exactly. You know, exactly. You know, and that puts a black eye on professional wrestling, and will stop people from going to shows. I think a lot of I've been around. I've seen many different indies, but it's about the presentation you put on. It's about the presentation. If people feel that they're going to an independent that feels like a major league production, I'm not saying like huge big lighting and stuff like that, but I mean, if you put a little effort into your presentation of the show, curtains and different things like that, guardrails, I mean, that stuff matters. I'm not just talking about putting up caution tape around the ring, what I mean? Little things like that matter to people. If I was going to go to an independent show, I would be impressed to see guardrails and professional, equipment, instead of, caution tape or, whatever else you see on the indies today, But it's the presentation, And, people can go to an NWA show and, they can go to an NWA Pro Wrestling Fusion show, and the presentation is top-notch because the people running it care about professional wrestling. They're there early in the morning, and they're pretty much critiquing everything they're doing and re-critiquing it, to make sure that it's perfect, because they know that the paying fan is going to come and see their product, and they want them to come back. And that's the key. Come back. Have the fans come back. They know that the in-ring product is going to be good enough, but they want to make sure that everything else, the ring, the curtains, the lighting, that stuff matters,
Right.
It definitely matters.
Yeah, we have a question out of our chat room from Y2 Jibber Jabber. He wants to know, since, you might be potentially or, possibly blacklisted by the NWA, he wants to know, what's next for you? Are you looking to take a shot at like the big leagues, like maybe a TNA or like a Ring of Honor? I mean, is there anything preventing you from taking that next step?
Nothing's preventing me, I got Mexico coming up. I'm always in talks with Japan. So, I mean, anything is possible, For years, my focus has always been Japan, and now I got Mexico calling, which is a pretty big deal for me, So I'm taking one step at a time, Whether I ever get booked for an NWA show, it doesn't matter to me, because I will do local shows here, I will do shows no matter where it is, and I will still do my best, put my best efforts forward, and try to have the best matches possible. And, it wasn't the title that made Craig Classic. It was Craig Classic that made the title. That's what people got to realize.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I know you had a match upcoming soon with Roderick Strong. Is that match still on, or has that been one of the matches taken off the books?
That show got canceled, sadly, but, I'm sure eventually me and Roderick will tangle. That's been a match that everyone's been wanting to see here in Florida, and I'm sure it'll eventually happen.
Yeah, it was definitely looking like it to be a pretty awesome match. I mean, certainly you both are really good, technically sound guys, so it would have been a really cool match to see happen.
I respect Roderick, and I think he's just the most amazing wrestler around. And for me to even, to be, for fans to even to say, Craig Classic, Roderick Strong, is something that they want to see. It's humbling, man. It really is. I like I said, I'm not, I take what comes in front of me. I'm not someone that's politicking with the world. I'm just a straight up, I want to wrestle. I do my thing. I go home. You know what I mean? And that's how I've always been. And I don't let the other side of the business get to me. And, you know, that's the thing, man, you know. And that's, you know, I was trained to be a professional wrestler. You know, I wasn't trained to, you know, when I was trained to keep my mouth shut and just go out there, do my job, and get home safely.
That brings up an interesting follow-up to me because kind of talking about that, and, you know, you were talking a little bit before about some of the indies when, you know, you have 9 or 100 or 200 people, you know, it all goes into the presentation. Do you kind of feel that American audiences, because you're a guy that's worked all over the world, Japan, Puerto Rico, Mexico, like you said, do you think that American audiences are almost a little bit spoiled or even jaded? Because, you know, obviously everybody's used to the WWE, the lights, the pyro, the big, you know, Jumbotron screens. You know, and I, you know, I've been to a million indie shows before. I love going to indie shows. You know, I think they're actually, you know, almost more fun than going to the big shows. But do you think that a lot of American audiences, because you see in Japan, it almost seems like it's much more respected, the actual wrestling aspect, and not so much the storyline, comedy. Oh, this guy's talking about this guy, you know, and that's what it seems to be, almost more soap opera-ish here. Do you kind of feel that American fans are a little bit more spoiled in that regard?
Well, I mean, you gotta look at it. I mean, a lot of people growing up are you know, growing up on WWE television, you know, and now even TNA television. So, you know, for them to see a flyer for a local indie and just see guys that they don't know, it's kind of hard to pull them, you know, to attract them to a show, you know. You know, and then there's times where, you know, where even if you get these people and they do go to a show, you know, they're not, you know, like I said, the presentation, the in-ring product is not up to par to what they're used to seeing. And, you know, that would definitely make someone say, hey, I'm not going to spend, you know, $10, $15, $20 to go see this again. You know, I'll wait till WWE comes along. You know what I mean? So, I mean, and especially, you know, you got to look at it. Look at our economy. You know, we're living in tough times. People can't even afford to put food on their table. You know, so, you know, $10, you know, $15, you know, for some families, for some people, it's pretty hard to put out of your pocket, you know, when you got to eat or pay rent. So, you know, it's the presentation, the in-ring product, it's everything, you know. It's hard to, you know, it's hard to be an independent and competing with, you know, someone like WWE, of course.
That said, kind of just as a personal preference standpoint, where is your favorite place to work? Do you like working in the States better than working in Japan? Do you like being in front of the international audiences? Do you have like a personal preference as to where you most enjoy working?
People have got to understand that I've wrestled in Japan pretty much my whole career. I went to Japan, you know, I started training there, and I literally had like maybe 5 or 6 matches, and I started wrestling full time pretty much in Japan. So it's Japan. You know, I've always felt more comfortable there. You know, I've always felt more comfortable there wrestling. You know, it's more of my style and what I like. You know, and the respect factor and everything. You know, the people respect what you do, and you know they like good wrestling. And you know, I've always been comfortable there. I mean, literally, like my 10th match in the business was in Kurgan Hall. I mean, you know, for anyone going into Kurgan Hall the first time would be almost shitting themselves. You know, but I mean, I was, you know, I'm literally in Kurgan Hall, and I'm standing by the wall where so many foreigners have signed the wall. I mean, some of the biggest names in the business, and you know, just walking down that hallway, and literally, you know, I'm no butterflies at all. You know, I just felt comfortable. You know, I'm like, you know, I'm here to do a job. This is my job, and I'm going to do it, and I did. You know, and I've done it for years. You know, and I've always felt comfortable there. Even when I went to the sumo hall, I mean, the sumo hall, I had a little bit of butterflies. You know, like, damn, I haven't been here in a year. I'm wrestling for a new company. You know, and I'm the NWA World Junior Champion. So I mean, that all played a factor, you know, in my mind. But then as soon as my music hit and I went out there, I was fine.
Good stuff, good stuff. Kind of switching gears here, we talked a lot about wrestling. I want to talk about sushi for a second because I know
yes.
I know you're a big sushi eater. What's the biggest difference in sushi between Japan and here in the U.S.?
It's the rice, man. It's definitely the rice. Definitely the rice.
What about the rice makes it so different?
It's a different texture in the rice. Japanese rice is a little bit different. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. My wife can explain it a hell of a lot better than me, because she explained it to me one time, and you know, I mean, you don't notice the difference. There was a difference, but like for someone like, you know, for a foreigner, like, you really don't notice it. And then she explained it to me, and I'm like, you know what, you're right. You know, so she would be able to explain it better than me, but there is a difference.
That's interesting. Yeah. What's some of your favorite sushi to eat when you're out in Japan?
Definitely eel. And spicy tuna is really good.
In a given week, how much money do you think you spend on sushi?
Holy, too much, dude. Too much.
Yeah, because, you know, I know me and my fiance, we go probably once a week. We'll go out for sushi, and we'll easily drop, like, you know, $50 on dinner, and that's kind of, you know, being a little cautious on what we order. We don't want to do too much, but I can seriously kill like the $50 you know, sashimi platter easy.
Oh yeah, easily, dude. I'm totally with you there. Like, literally, like, me and my wife will go to sushi restaurants, and I mean, I'll just keep ordering, you know, and she'll have to stop me. Like, don't stop it. You know, the bill's gonna be like $100, $150 in sushi alone. You know, I mean, literally. I mean, I remember, like, we went to some sushi restaurant for Valentine's Day, and like, I blew like almost $120 on sushi alone. You know, and I didn't even finish it all. I had to bring it home. I brought it to my boss, actually. But
there you go.
Yeah, I don't eat sushi, so I'm lucky.
Well, you know, nobody's perfect then, but
I can't do seafood. I just never been able to eat seafood, so.
No, you're missing out, old school. Have you been to Sakura off University in Coral Springs before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, when I used to live down in Coral Springs, I used to always go to Sakura. It's right off University in between Royal Palm and Atlantic Avenue. And in my opinion, they have some of the best sushi, and they have a salad there that a lot of places, at least I know a lot of places here in Baltimore and even down there, don't make. It's called a harasami salad. Have you ever had that before?
I don't know. I mean, it's possible, dude. You know, I definitely would have to take a look at it. I mean, dude, I've eaten so much stuff in Japan. Like, half of it I don't even know the name of it. You know, you know what I mean? So, like, we'd go out to you know, I'd have friends take me out to dinner and just order a bunch of stuff, and I wouldn't know what is what, but I would just try it anyway, you know. And I can't say that I disliked anything, you know. So I'm always willing to try something for sure.
You know, there's some pretty good places up here, you know, for sushi. I really prefer, like, you know, like the salmon sashimi. That's usually pretty good stuff. And,
yeah.
But like you said, it does get pretty expensive, especially if I eat
a lot.
It does,
man. Yeah, it does. Like, I can't. So, like, I'll start and I can't stop. You know. So I just get into what I'm doing, man. You know, it's good. I can't understand why people wouldn't like it, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know, that's more for us, less for them.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this: do you have any like pre-meal rituals? Do you have like any type of meal you eat before a match, like all the time?
Not really, man. Like, I try not to eat too much before I go out to the ring. You know, maybe like a protein bar or something, or a protein shake. Nothing too crazy.
Gotcha. And I know, you know, you're pretty much, you know, like a gym rat. You're in the gym all the time. I mean, how does one dedicate so much time to the gym? You know, and tying that into, you know, doing your work, being a wrestler, taking care of the house. Like, how do you get all that done?
I mean, dude, you know, there's so many, don't tell my wife, but there's so many hot women at the gym that I just like to stand there and watch. No, I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
No, I mean, you know, it's something that I enjoy. You know, if again, if you're going to be a professional wrestler, you've got to look like one. That's something that I was, being, I broke into business, and I was small, I didn't have the, the muscle I have on now, but I mean, and even going to Japan, I mean, if you want to be a professional wrestler, go train there, and, go do 500 squats every day, and I mean, that's what I did, for years, doing squats and push-ups and all that stuff, and, finally and then I'd come back here and I'd be like, oh, I don't want to ever do that stuff again, and I'd get lazy, and then I'd go back there and I'd do it, and then I'd come back here and be lazy, and then I just got to a point and said to myself, you know what, if I'm putting so much dedication there and I'm not putting the same dedication here, then what's the point, and, I just changed everything, and I'll come home and I'll do 300 squats, and my wife will look at me like I'm crazy. Why am I doing squats in the kitchen, But, I mean, that's what I do, and if you're going to be a professional wrestler, you should put the effort in. If you can't do 300, then do 100. I mean, I would go to the local wrestling school here, and I'd say, okay, we're going to do 100 squats, and people would be dying at 20, and I would be looking at them like, you're kidding me, right? But I mean, people, and I mean, God forbid you tell them to do some squats and push-ups or take a run around the block, They just, people just want to go to a wrestling school and learn how to do flips off the top rope. But that's not professional wrestling.
Now, kind of switching gears a little bit, Craig. We're getting towards the end of the show. We talked about your upcoming match with Super Crazy in Mexico. What else you got on the calendar upcoming?
Like I said, there could be a big Japan tour in the works. We're waiting for confirmation on that. Different local stuff. I'm supposed to be at NWA Fan Fest, wrestling Mike Jackson in Atlanta, Georgia. That is still on. Just different stuff here and there, nothing too crazy. I've gotten several people looking to book me, and I'm trying to be selective, on where I go. I will be working for FOW in the near future, of course, on their next couple of events. And it looks like I'll be back at Live trying to help them out, help the young kids out there.
Do you have anything scheduled or tentative to head back to Japan anytime soon?
There's been talk, so I can't really. I'm not gonna throw them out there just yet.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Top secret.
Top secret.
Let me. It's an ancient Chinese secret, but it's in Japan. So.
Calgon.
Calgon. So you got some upcoming shows, which is cool. You got some shows down in Florida, which is also cool. You're doing some work for FOW too. How has that been? How's FOW progressing? Kind of coming back and now running a lot of shows.
It's progressing, man. It's a slow process because not a lot of people. There are a lot of fans that do remember FOW, and then there's a lot that don't. So they have DVDs of their old shows and they're selling them, so people are getting familiar with what FOW was in the past. And the roster's a little bit different. They do have some of the older faces, and they have new faces like myself and several other people like Chris Jones and ERA. A lot of young guys that are just looking to go out there and just put on the best matches possible. A lot of hungry guys. And, it's slowly getting back together. The people behind it, have faith in their vision. And, it's coming along. It really is. They've done great by me. They put me in the ring with guys like Billy Fives and, Chris Jones and, not that I've wrestled Chris Jones 1,000 times, but they've given me a lot of good matches to go in and to make it worth my while to be there, and I enjoy it. I enjoy being there.
Right. Right, very cool, very cool. Now, yeah, I wanted to ask, since you're wrestling, I think you're wrestling a tag match. Am I mistaken? You're not actually wrestling Super Crazy one-on-one. It's a tag match. Is that correct?
It is a tag match, and it will be on Go Fight Live. There is talk about doing a singles match between us. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires in Mexico. Like I said, I'm going there for Super Crazy, and we'll see what he's got. Obviously the tag matches there. That's their style. 6-man and tag matches. So, but they did mention about possibly doing me versus Crazy in a singles in the near future. So.
Awesome. That would definitely be pretty cool, especially if it's put on YouTube.
It's a clash of styles, I think. It's a real clash of styles, which makes it even more interesting. So,
I agree.
And he's definitely familiar with the Japanese style, and he's even he's put up links to my match with Sawa on his Facebook. So I mean, he is aware that I'm coming, and he knows that I'm coming for him. So. It should make a very interesting turn of events over there.
Right. Let me ask you one more question, then we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show. But it's been an awesome interview again. Thanks so much for coming back on the show with us. We always appreciate you taking some time and being on here. I noticed on your Facebook that Mikhail Ivanov from the Red Devil Fight Team posted on your Facebook. You had mentioned, you're the real junior heavyweight champion. He said, "Who's the fake one?" Do you care to respond to that question?
I don't even know. That's a good question. Maybe the Invisible Man.
Maybe so. Well, the last time we had you on the show, you did a drop, but at the time, you were the NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion, so we'd like you to do an updated drop here because obviously things have changed, so we don't want to play something that's no longer the case. So would you mind doing a new drop for the show tonight?
Yeah, why not? Sure.
All right, I know last time we had to do a few different takes, so let's see if you can get it in the first take. It's all you, bud.
Oh, Jesus, thanks. Putting me on the spot.
All right.
This is Craig Classic, the real World Junior Heavyweight Champion, and you're listening to Do the Job Radio.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. We appreciate having you on the show, and certainly, every time, if you got an upcoming show and stuff, we always try to talk about, Florida wrestling here on the radio show and stuff. So great having you on tonight, man. Thanks again for taking the time, and hopefully we'll have you on again in the future.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Thanks, Craig. Have a good one.
All right, that was Craig Classic live on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. Old School Avis Hathaway, we're down to the last 90 seconds of the show, man.
Okay, that's great. It was a great interview. Our thanks to Craig for coming back on, kind of talking about the little controversy within the NWA. I think it was a great interview, very interesting, and we got some great interviews lined up coming down the pike. So stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Just kind of run down the last minute here. We got some great shows coming up. We're taking next week off. We're not going to have any show in the month of the rest of the month of July. But in August, we have the Angel Orsini, formerly the Prodigette of ECW. She's going to be on the show the first week of August. We also have Jessie Kay, who's an up-and-comer. She's actually in Gilberg's wrestling school here in Maryland. And then we also have coming on the show the Terror from Trinidad, Calypso, who's out of Florida. We're going to have her on the show as well. So great stuff, Old School. We always bring you the best. And then, we're all booked for August, guy. We got nothing but women wrestlers coming on in the month of August. So you don't want to miss it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we got some more irons in the fire. Hopefully, some more big names coming through. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, guy. And don't forget, if you're not a follower yet on Twitter, make sure you follow us at DoYourJob_between J.O.B. In addition to that, you want to like us on Facebook at the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. If you're not a fan, you got to ask yourself right now, why not? Why aren't you a fan? If you want to see somebody on the show, let us know because, we're not afraid to ask people to come on here. We've had some really awesome guests, some big-name guests on this show, some great wrestlers on the indie scene, some up-and-comers. You know, we posed to our fans on Facebook who they wanted to see, from a women's perspective, and we got some great people on the show. So if you have any suggestions for us, please don't hesitate to let us know, because without our fans and their input, the show is pretty much dead in the water. So we really want our fans to be a part of it, and certainly if you have any suggestions, let us know. Old School and the ConKaiserdor, we're all ears. Old School, any final thoughts, guys, before we call it a night?
Don't eat yellow snow.
Don't eat yellow snow, but eat more sushi. That's the way to go. Well, for Old School, it was Hathaway and the ConKaiserdor. We want to say goodnight, and we will see you not next week, but the week after, with the Angel Orsini, formerly the Prodiget of ECW. Good night, everybody.